I stand at my parents' anniversary party surrounded by 30 guests, when my father publicly demands I hand over the keys to my penthouse to my younger sister, Crystal. The room falls silent. When I refuse, explaining I worked 12 years to buy it, my father slaps me so hard my pearl earring flies across the marble floor. The sting burns my cheek. Through tears and shock, I pull out my phone with trembling hands, press a single button, and walk out. 30 minutes later, a woman in a sharp gray suit enters the hall. My hands shake on the steering wheel as I drive away from the country club. The left side of my face throbs where his palm connected with my cheekbone. I can still hear the gasp that rippled through the crowd, can still see the shock on Aunt Diane's face, the satisfaction poorly hidden in Crystal's eyes. My phone buzzes repeatedly, with calls from my mother, from cousins, from family friends. I ignore them all. This is not the first time my family has tried to take from me. It is simply the first time they have done it so publicly, so violently. I pull into the parking garage of my building, a sleek high-rise in the heart of downtown. The penthouse on the 23rd floor, 3 bedrooms, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city lights, a kitchen with marble countertops that I picked out myself. I bought it 6 months ago with money I earned through 70-hour work weeks, through late nights reviewing contracts until my eyes burned, through saying no to vacations and yes to every impossible deadline. I worked 12 years for this. 12 years of student loans and ramen dinners, and secondhand business suits. 12 years of being told I was lucky, privileged, selfish, for wanting something of my own. Inside my penthouse, I pour myself a glass of wine with hands that have finally stopped shaking. The city spreads out below me, a million lights in the darkness. I think about how I got here, and I think about how my family has been taking from me since I was barely old enough to understand what that meant. I was 16 when it started, or at least when I first noticed. My parents paid for Crystal's college applications, her SAT prep courses, her campus visits to schools across the country. When I asked about the same support, my father said, "You're smarter, Ginny. You'll figure it out." So I did. I worked 2 jobs through high school, saved every dollar, applied for every scholarship. I got into a good state school on a partial academic scholarship and took out loans for the rest. Crystal went to a private liberal arts college 3 states away. She changed her major 4 times and graduated with a degree in communications and no job prospects. My parents were so proud. I graduated with honors with a degree in political science, was accepted to law school, and kept working. I tended bar on weekends, tutored undergrads, did whatever it took. Crystal moved back home after college and never left. She tried a marketing job for 3 months, then quit because her boss was mean. She tried retail for 6 weeks, then stopped showing up. She talked about starting a photography business, a baking company, a lifestyle blog. Nothing ever materialized. Meanwhile, I passed the bar exam on my first attempt at 25. I started at a mid-sized firm doing contract law, worked my way up, moved to a larger firm, made junior partner at 31. My parents came to exactly 1 celebration dinner in all those years. They spent most of it talking about how Crystal was finding herself. When I was 22 and had just started my first real legal job, Crystal called me crying. She had an idea for a vintage clothing store. She just needed $10,000 to get started. My mother called an hour later. "You know, Crystal has always struggled. You've always had it easier. Can't you help your sister?" I gave her the money. The store never opened. Crystal spent it on rent, on clothes, on dinners out with friends. When I asked about the business plan 6 months later, she got defensive. "Not everyone is a workaholic like you, Ginny. Some of us want to enjoy life." 3 years ago, Crystal needed a car. She had wrecked her old one, the one my parents bought her, by texting while driving. Insurance wouldn't cover it. "Would you co-sign a loan?" my mother asked. "Just until Crystal gets on her feet." I said yes, because I was tired of being called selfish, tired of being the villain for having boundaries. Crystal made payments for 6 months, then stopped. The dealership called me. My credit score, which I had carefully built since I was 18, dropped 120 points. I made the payments for 2 years until the car was paid off. Crystal still drives it. She has never once said thank you. I learned something important during those 2 years of car payments. I learned that my family saw me as a resource to be mined, not a person to be respected. I learned that no amount of giving would ever be enough, that there would always be one more crisis, one more emergency, one more reason I should sacrifice what I had worked for. So 6 months ago, when I finally had enough saved for a down payment on a place of my own, I told no one. I worked with a realtor in secret, viewed apartments on my lunch breaks, signed the papers in a conference room at my office. The penthouse was my symbol of independence, proof that I could build something they could not take. Or so I thought. Tonight was supposed to be simple. My parents' 40th wedding anniversary party at their country club. I wore a navy dress, brought an expensive bottle of champagne, prepared myself for the usual subtle digs about my work schedule, my lack of a serious relationship, my failure to visit more often. My mother pulled me aside before dinner, her hand tight on my elbow, her voice low. Crystal needs stability. She's really struggling right now. And you have so much, honey. That penthouse is too big for one person anyway. I felt the familiar weight in my stomach, the dread that came with any conversation that started with Crystal needs. I said carefully, if she needs help, I can give her the number of a career counselor. My mother's mouth tightened. That's not what family does, Ginny. Family supports each other. I wanted to ask where that support was when I was working 2 jobs to pay for textbooks, when I was studying for the bar exam while waitressing 4 nights a week, when I was crying in my car between shifts because I was so exhausted I could not see straight. But I did not. I just smiled and said, let's enjoy the party. During dessert, my father stood up and clinked his glass. The room quieted. 30 people turned to look at him, smiling, expecting a sweet speech about 40 years of marriage. Instead, he said, I want to take a moment to recognize our daughter Ginny's generosity. I did not see his hand coming until I felt the crack of his palm against my cheek, felt my head snap to the side, felt my pearl earring fly from my ear and skitter across the marble floor. The room gasped. Someone screamed. My mother stood up, saying something I could not hear over the ringing in my ears. I touched my face. It was hot, already swelling. I looked at my father and saw something in his eyes I had never seen before. Something ugly and desperate. He looked afraid, not of what he had done, but of what I might do next. I pulled my phone from my purse. My fingers found the contact I had programmed 2 months ago, the one labeled simply, Helena. I pressed the call button and said 3 words. Execute Plan B. Then I walked out. I did not run. I did not cry. Not yet. I walked through the silent room, past the shocked faces, past my sister's confused expression, past the table with the anniversary cake still uncut. I walked out the front doors of the country club into the cool October night and got in my car. As I drove away, my phone buzzed. A text from Helena. 30 minutes. Stay strong. I smiled for the first time all night. Back at the country club, the silence breaks into frantic whispers. I know this because my cousin Emma texts me updates, her messages arriving rapid fire as I sit in my penthouse, ice pack pressed to my swelling cheek. Everyone is freaking out. Your mom is crying. Your dad is yelling. What just happened? Crystal is texting people about her new penthouse. I'm going to throw up. A woman just walked in. Gray suit. Briefcase. She looks scary. Who is she? I text back. Her name is Helena Marsh. Watch what happens next. Helena Marsh is 47 years old, a forensic accountant with 23 years of experience, and the best money I have ever spent. I hired her 8 weeks ago, right after my mother's birthday dinner, when my father made a comment about how easy I had it, how I should be giving back to the family that raised me. Something in his tone, the entitlement, the assumption that my money was theirs, made me finally ask the question I had been avoiding for years. Where did all my money actually go? I knew about the car loan. I knew about the $10,000 for Crystal's failed business. But I had this nagging feeling, this sense that there were pieces missing, numbers that did not quite add up. My tax refunds were always smaller than I expected. My credit card statement sometimes had charges I did not remember making. Nothing big enough to be obvious, but enough to make me wonder. So I called Helena. She came highly recommended by a colleague who had used her services during a messy divorce. If there's financial funny business, my colleague said, Helena will find it. She found it. At the country club, Helena walks directly to my parents' table. 30 pairs of eyes follow her. She is not tall, maybe 5 feet 4 inches, but she carries herself like she is 10 feet tall. Her gray suit is immaculate. Her dark hair is pulled back in a severe bun. She looks at my father with the expression of someone who has seen every financial crime imaginable and is impressed by none of them. You have 5 minutes to come with me to the club manager's private office, she says, her voice clear and cold. Or, I will present these findings to every person in this room. My father stands up, blustering. Who are you? This is a private event. You're trespassing. She sits behind the manager's desk, opens her briefcase, and removes a folder 3 inches thick. My parents sit across from her. My mother's hands twisted in her lap. My father's jaw clenched. Let me be clear. Helena begins. Everything I am about to tell you is documented, verified, and admissible in court. I have bank statements, canceled checks, email correspondence, and in some cases, security footage. Do you understand? My father says nothing. My mother whispers. Yes. Good. Let's begin with the credit card. Helena pulls out the first document. When Ginny was 18 years old and a freshman in college, you opened a credit card in her name. You forged her signature on the application. You used her social security number without her knowledge or consent. Over the course of 2 years, you charged $23,000 to this card. You made minimum payments for 6 months, then stopped paying entirely. The card went into default. Collections agencies pursued Ginny. Her credit score, which she was carefully building, was destroyed before she even knew the card existed. My mother makes a small sound. My father's face is stone. When Ginny was 24 years old, Helena continues, pulling out another document. You took out a personal loan of $25,000 using her information. Again, forged signature. Again, unauthorized use of her social security number. You made 3 payments, then defaulted. The lender pursued Ginny. She paid off this loan over 4 years without even knowing why she owed the money. We were going to pay it back, my mother says, her voice breaking. You've had 12 years. Helena says. You bought a boat last summer. A 32-foot cabin cruiser. $47,000. Silence. For the past 3 years, Helena says, her voice never changing tone, never rising, just relentlessly factual. You have been intercepting Ginny's tax returns. You filed a change of address form with the IRS, routing her mail to your home temporarily during tax season. You opened her refund checks, forged her endorsement, and deposited them into your account. Total amount stolen, $11,000. My father finally speaks. Shay's our daughter. We raised her. We fed her, clothed her, put a roof over her head. She owes us. Helena looks at him with something close to pity. Parents are legally and morally obligated to care for their minor children. That's not a debt. That's basic decency. What you did is identity theft, financial fraud, and elder abuse laws don't apply here. But fraud laws certainly do. She pulls out a final document. The total amount stolen from Ginny over 12 years is $73,000. That doesn't include interest, legal fees, or the damage to her credit score that cost her higher interest rates on her own legitimate loans. My mother is crying now. Ugly sobs that shake her shoulders. My father sits rigid, furious, cornered. Helena slides a document across the desk. This is a repayment agreement. You will return every dollar with 5% interest, which brings the total to $88,000. You will make monthly payments of $1,467 for 5 years. Your house will serve as collateral. If you miss a single payment, the full amount becomes due immediately, and the lien on your house will be enforced. We can't afford that, my father says. Then you'll sell the boat. You'll downsize. You'll get second jobs. I don't particularly care how you do it. But you will do it. And if we refuse? My father asks. Helena's smile is sharp. Then I will walk out of this office and file a criminal complaint with the district attorney's office tomorrow morning. Identity theft is a federal crime. Financial fraud is a felony. You'll be arrested. You'll be prosecuted. And given the evidence I have, you'll be convicted. You'll go to prison. The word prison lands like a physical blow. My mother gasps. My father's face goes from red to white. You have until midnight tonight to sign this agreement. Helena says, standing. That gives you 3 hours. If you don't sign, I file the complaint at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. The choice is yours. She walks to the door, then pauses. For what it's worth, your daughter didn't want to do this. She wanted to believe that if she just worked hard enough, gave enough, proved herself enough, you would finally see her as something other than a resource. But you slapped her tonight, in front of 30 people, because she refused to hand over something she earned. That was your last chance, and you threw it away. Helena leaves. My parents sit in silence. Outside the door, Crystal has been listening, her ear pressed to the wood. She hears everything. The credit cards, the loans, the tax returns, the $73,000. Her face goes through a series of expressions. Confusion, disbelief, horror, understanding. She pulls out her phone and texts me. Is it true? I look at the message for a long time before I respond. Every word. My phone rings 30 seconds later. Crystal's name on the screen. I almost do not answer. But something makes me press accept. Is it true? Crystal asks again, her voice small. Yes. A long silence. I hear her breathing, shaky and uneven. They told me you were selfish, that you forgot where you came from, that successful people owe their family everything. I close my eyes. I know. I believed them, Crystal whispers. I believed them because it was easier than admitting I was 28 years old and had never paid rent. That I had never had consequences for anything, that they made me weak. Something in her voice cracks, and I realize she is crying. I'm 28, Ginny. I've never supported myself. I've never finished anything I started. I was excited about your penthouse not because I wanted it, but because it was the only way I knew to feel successful. I wanted what you built, because I've never built anything myself. I don't know what to say. This is the most honest conversation my sister and I have had in 10 years. I'm sorry, Crystal says. I'm so sorry. For tonight, for all of it. You deserved better. You deserved better from all of us. Thank you. I manage. What happens now? She asks. That depends on them. I say. They have until midnight. At 11:45, my phone rings. My father's name on the screen. I let it ring 3 times before I answer. Yes. His voice is cold. Controlled. You've destroyed this family. No, I say calmly. You did that. 12 years ago, when you decided stealing from your daughter was acceptable. We're not signing anything. You won't actually turn in your own parents. I know you. Ginny, you don't have it in you. Something inside me, something that has been bending for 12 years, finally snaps clean. You're right. You do know me. You know him. The daughter who worked 70 hours a week. Who paid off loans you took out in my name. Who gave and gave and gave until there was nothing left. But you don't know the woman I've become. The woman who finally learned that protecting myself is not the same as being cruel. If you do this, watch me. I hang up. My hands are steady. My heart rate is calm. I feel clear, in a way I have not felt in years. At 12:01 in the morning, I text Helena. They refused. File everything. Her response comes immediately. Already prepared. I'll submit the complaint when the DA's office opens at 8. Get some sleep. Tomorrow starts a new chapter. I should feel guilty. I should feel torn, conflicted, devastated at the thought of my parents facing criminal charges. But all I feel is relief. Relief that I finally stopped waiting for them to choose me. Relief that I finally chose myself. I sleep better that night than I have in months. The next morning, Helena files the criminal complaint at 8 sharp. By noon, 2 detectives visit my parents at their house. Emma texts me updates. There are cops at your parents' house. Everyone is calling everyone. Your Aunt Diane is having a complete meltdown. By evening, Aunt Diane calls me. She is screaming before I even say hello. How could you do this? They're your parents. You're tearing this family apart. They did that themselves, I say. I'm just refusing to be silent about it anymore. You're going to put them in prison over money? Money you wouldn't even have without them. Money I earned while they stole from me. There's a difference. She calls me terrible names. She tells me I am dead to her. She hangs up. I block her number and feel nothing. But then, an hour later, another call. This one surprises me. It is from my grandmother. My father's mother, Nana Ruth. She is 79 years old, sharp as ever, living in a retirement community in Arizona. We talk maybe twice a year. I answer hesitantly. Ginny, she says, her voice warm and firm. I heard what happened. I want you to know I'm proud of you. I almost dropped the phone. What? Your father has had his mother's greedy streak his whole life. She was the same way. God rest her soul. Always taking, always justifying it. Always playing the victim when someone finally said no. I've been waiting 30 years for someone to stop him. Nana. He borrowed $30,000 from me 15 years ago. Said it was for home repairs. Never paid back a dime. I wrote it off because he's my son, but I always knew he would do it to someone else. I just didn't think he would do it to his own daughter. Her voice hardens. Don't you dare back down, Ginny. Don't you dare let guilt make you small again. What he did was wrong. What your mother enabled was wrong. You are not responsible for fixing people who don't want to be fixed. I feel tears sliding down my face. Thank you. I love you, sweetheart. And I'm sorry I didn't step in sooner. I should have. But I'm stepping in now. You need anything at all, you call me. After we hang up, I sit in the silence of my penthouse and realize something important. Family is not just about blood. It is about who shows up, who protects you, who celebrates your strength, instead of punishing you for it. 3 days later, Crystal texts me. Can we meet for coffee? I almost say no. But curiosity wins. We meet at a cafe halfway between my penthouse and our parents' house. Crystal looks different. Tired. Older. Like she has not been sleeping well. She sits down across from me and says immediately, I moved out. What? I moved out of Mom and Dad's house. I'm staying with Nana Ruth for now. She called me after she talked to you, said it was time I learned to stand on my own 2 feet, and she was going to help me do it. I stare at my sister. You moved out. I enrolled at community college, business courses, and I got a job at a bookstore, 25 hours a week. It's not much, but it's mine. She looks at me, her eyes red. I'm 28 years old, and this is my first real job. That's pathetic. It's not pathetic. It's a start. I'm so tired, Ginny. I'm tired all the time. I come home and my feet hurt and I have homework and I barely have time to sleep. And you know what? I'm proud of myself for the first time in my life. She pulls out her phone and shows me a picture. A studio apartment, small and sparse, with a single plant on the windowsill. I'm looking at this place. I can afford it if I'm careful. My own apartment. Can you imagine? I can imagine. I remember my first apartment. A tiny 1-bedroom with questionable plumbing, and a radiator that clanked all night. I remember how free I felt. I'm proud of you. I tell Crystal. And I mean it. She smiles, and it is real. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave you every reason to. Over the next 3 weeks, things move fast. The district attorney's office reviews Helena's evidence. and decides to prosecute. My parents hire a lawyer, a slick man in an expensive suit, who takes one look at the documentation and advises them to take a plea deal. The prosecutor, a woman named Kate Brennan, is in her mid-40s with steel gray eyes and the demeanor of someone who has seen every excuse and believes none of them. She meets with me in her office. "Your parents' lawyer wants a deal," she says. "Plead guilty to fraud. Repayment plan. Probation. Community service. No jail time. What do you think?" I ask. Kate leans back in her chair. "I think the evidence is overwhelming, and they would lose at trial. I also think sending them to prison doesn't serve anyone. But that's not my call. It's yours. You're the victim here. What do you want?" I think about revenge, about justice, about what would actually make me feel whole again. I realize that I do not want my parents in prison. I just want them to stop, to acknowledge what they did, to face consequences. "I want the plea deal," I tell Kate, "with one condition. The community service has to be financial literacy education for at-risk youth. I want them to spend 200 hours teaching kids not to make the mistakes they made." Kate smiles. "I'll make it happen." My parents take the deal. They plead guilty to financial fraud in a quiet courtroom on a rainy Thursday morning. The judge is a severe woman in her 60s, who looks at them with undisguised contempt. "You stole from your daughter for over a decade," she says. "You damaged her credit, intercepted her mail, forged her signature, and then had the audacity to demand she give you more. You will repay every dollar with interest. You will complete 200 hours of community service, and you will spend the next 5 years on probation. If you violate any term of this agreement, you will serve the maximum sentence. 5 years in prison. Do you understand?" "Yes, Your Honor," my parents say in unison. They leave the courthouse without looking at me. I leave feeling lighter than I have in years. The story should have ended there. A quiet resolution. A family matter settled in a courtroom with only a few people present. But the universe has other plans. Someone at the courthouse that day has a phone. They record my father leaving, shouting at a reporter, who asks him a question. The video is shaky, grainy, but the audio is crystal clear. "My ungrateful daughter is doing this for attention. She's always been selfish, always thought she was better than us. We gave her everything, and this is how she repays us." The reporter, a young woman with a microphone, says calmly, "Sir, court records show you stole over $73,000 from her. That's a lie. That's family money. She just wants to make us look bad." The video cuts off. It is uploaded to social media with the caption, "Father who stole my baka from daughter calls her ungrateful." It goes viral. Within 24 hours, the video has 3 million views. Within 48 hours, it is on the news, local stations, then national ones. My name is not in the video, but it does not take long for people to figure out who I am. Someone finds my LinkedIn profile. Someone else finds a photo of me at a legal conference. By the end of the week, my phone is exploding with messages. Some are supportive. "You're so brave. Thank you for speaking out." My parents did the same thing to me. Some are cruel. "You're a terrible daughter. How can you do this to your family? Money isn't worth destroying your parents." A journalist from a major national outlet emails me. Her name is Brenda Wu. And her message is simple. "I would like to tell your story. On your terms. If you're interested, let's talk." I ignore it for 3 days. Then I read through the hundreds of messages I have received from strangers, sharing their own stories of family financial abuse. People whose parents stole their identities, maxed out credit cards in their names, took out student loans they never repaid. People who felt guilty for protecting themselves, who were told that setting boundaries made them bad children. I email Brenda back. "If my story helps even one person set boundaries, it's worth it. Let's talk." We meet at a coffee shop. Neutral territory. Brenda is in her early 40s, wearing jeans and a blazer, her dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She orders a latte and gets straight to business. "I want to be clear about what this is," she says. "This is not a hit piece on your parents. This is not sensationalism. This is a story about financial abuse within families, about the guilt children feel when they try to protect themselves, about the importance of boundaries. Your story illustrates a larger issue, but I need you to be comfortable with that. I am, I say. Tell the story. The interview takes 3 hours. Brenda asks careful questions. She wants to know about the pattern of exploitation, about the moment I realized what was happening, about the decision to hire Helena, about the slap. She asks about my feelings, my guilt, my fear. Do you regret it? She asks. No, I say. I regret that it was necessary. But I don't regret protecting myself. What would you say to someone in a similar situation? I think about this carefully. I would say that family is not a free pass for abuse. That loving someone does not mean accepting mistreatment. That you are not responsible for managing other people's emotions about your boundaries. And that sometimes the greatest act of love is refusing to participate in your own destruction. The article publishes 2 weeks later. The headline is, "The Daughter Who Said No. When Family Becomes Financial Predator." It goes viral faster than the video did. Within days, I received thousands of messages, people sharing their stories, thanking me, asking for advice. Support groups reach out, wanting me to speak. Law schools email, asking me to guest lecture on financial abuse. A literary agent contacts me about writing a book. I am overwhelmed. I am terrified. I am also oddly hopeful, because buried in all the attention, in all the noise, are messages like this one. I'm 19. My mom opened credit cards in my name. I thought I had to let it happen, because she's my mom. Your story made me realize I don't. I'm filing a police report tomorrow. Thank you. That message makes everything worth it. Crystal calls me one evening, her voice excited. Did you see the article? I lived the article. No, I mean, did you read the comments? There are thousands of people sharing their stories. You started something, Ginny. You helped people. I think about that. About how my worst moment, my most painful choice, might actually help strangers feel less alone. I guess I did. I'm proud of you, Crystal says. I know I don't say it enough, but I'm proud. At work, my managing partner calls me into his office. I brace myself for reprimand, for concern about the firm's reputation, for some lecture about keeping my personal life private. Instead, he says, "We've been getting calls. People who read your story, who are experiencing financial abuse from family members. They want representation. I'm a corporate attorney." I say, "I do mergers and acquisitions. You could expand your practice. We could build a department around family financial law, elder abuse, identity theft, exploitation. There's a need for it. And you're uniquely positioned to understand these clients." I think about it for exactly 3 seconds. Yes. Within a month, I take on my first pro bono case. A 24-year-old woman whose father stole her entire college fund and used it to start a business that failed. We recover her money. She cries in my office. Says I changed her life. I take on more cases. I win most of them. I build a reputation. I am promoted to senior partner at 32. My penthouse is no longer just the place I fought for. It is the place I built a new life from. 6 months after the plea deal, on a Tuesday morning in April, I receive a call from Kate Brennan. "Ginny, I need to tell you something. Your father collapsed in court this morning." My heart stops. What? He had a heart attack during a probation check-in. Hes at Memorial Hospital. It's serious. I sit down hard. Is he Hes alive? In surgery. But it's touch and go. I drive to the hospital in a daze. I have not seen my father since the courthouse, have not spoken to him except through lawyers. Now he is in an operating room, his heart failing, and I do not know what to feel. The waiting room is cold and sterile. My mother sits alone, her face pale, her hands twisted in her lap. She looks up when I enter. For a moment, we just stare at each other. Has been under a lot of stress, she says finally. Her voice hollow. The payments. The community service. The shame. I want to say that he brought it on himself. I want to say that I was under stress for 12 years while he stole from me. But he is in surgery. Maybe dying. And those words feel too heavy. Aunt Diane arrives 20 minutes later. She sees me and her face hardens. You should leave. Diane? Don't. My mother says weakly. No. If he dies, it's on her. Aunt Diane points at me. She did this. She humiliated him. Prosecuted him. Destroyed his reputation. His heart couldn't take it. I stand up. His heart couldn't take the guilt of what he did. I didn't cause that. His choices did. But Aunt Diane's words burrow under my skin. I sit in the waiting room, surrounded by people who blame me, and wonder if she is right. If I pushed too hard. If I should have just let it go. Then someone sits beside me. I look up. It is Nana Ruth. Don't you dare, she says softly. Don't you dare take responsibility for his health. Guilt is not a heart attack. Consequences are not abuse. You protected yourself. That's all. But if he dies, then he dies having faced the truth about what he did. There are worse ways to go. Crystal arrives next. She sits on my other side, takes my hand. Whatever you decide, I support you. My father survives the surgery. Triple bypass. The doctor says he will recover but needs significant lifestyle changes. Less stress, better diet, regular exercise. When he is finally awake and stable enough for visitors, my mother goes in first. Then she comes out and says to me, "He wants to see you." I do not want to go in. But I do. My father looks small in the hospital bed, pale and weak, tubes and monitors everywhere. He looks at me and tears slide down his face. "I'm sorry," he whispers. "I'm so sorry, Ginny." I stand by his bed, my arms crossed. For what specifically? For stealing from you. For slapping you. For making you feel like you owed us your success. I was jealous. You became everything I wanted to be. And couldn't. And instead of being proud, I resented you. It is not enough. It will never be enough. But it is more than I expected. I'm not dropping the charges, I say, and am not going to pretend this didn't happen. But I'll agree to work with the prosecutor on a modified payment plan while you recover. Why? He asks. After everything. Because I don't want revenge. I want accountability, and because I need to be able to look at myself in the mirror. Over the next weeks, the prosecutor agrees to pause payments for 3 months, while my father recovers. After that, the terms resume. My parents sell the boat. They downsize to a smaller house. They make their payments on time. Slowly, painfully, we begin to communicate again. Not like before. Not with me giving and them taking, but with boundaries, with honesty, with the understanding that trust is rebuilt slowly, or not at all. Crystal thrives. She graduates from community college with honors. She is promoted to assistant manager at the bookstore. She moves into her own apartment, a tiny studio with a Murphy bed, and a window that faces east. She posts a photo of herself holding her keys, grinning, and I have never seen her look happier. She calls me the day she gets her first paycheck from the promotion. $800, she says, her voice full of wonder. I earned $800. It's not much, but it's everything. I finish. It's yours. Yeah, she says softly. It's mine. One evening, Crystal shows up at my penthouse with a bottle of wine and takeout. We sit on my balcony, the city lights spread below us, and talk like we have not talked in years. I'm dating someone, she says shyly. His name is Tyler. Has a 3rd-grade teacher. Has kind. He doesn't know about our family drama, and it's nice to just be myself. I'm happy for you. He asked me what I'm most proud of. I told him I moved out on my own at 28. He didn't judge me. He said, "Better late than never. What matters is that you did it." I smile. I like him already. You inspired me, Crystal says. You showed me what self-respect looks like, what it means to protect yourself, even when it's hard. You did the work. I say, I just stopped enabling you. Thank you for that. I know it didn't feel like love at the time, but it was. It was the most loving thing you could have done. We sit in comfortable silence. Sisters who finally understand each other. 1 year after the slap, Nana Ruth invites me to lunch at an upscale restaurant downtown. She arrives dressed in a lavender suit. Her white hair perfectly styled. Her eyes bright. You look wonderful, I tell her. I feel wonderful. Retirement agrees with me. So does watching my granddaughter become a force of nature. We order lunch and make small talk until the food arrives. Then Nana Ruth's expression turns serious. I need to tell you something I should have told you years ago. My stomach tightens. What? I knew. About what your father was doing. I saw credit card statements when I visited, back when you were in law school. I confronted him. He denied it. Got angry. Stopped letting me visit as often. I should have told you then. But I was a coward. I told myself it was between parent and child, that I shouldn't interfere. She reaches across the table and takes my hand. I'm sorry. I failed you. Nana. Let me finish. I couldn't stop your father. But I could prepare for the day you would need support. So I started putting money aside for you. She pulls an envelope from her purse and slides it across the table. Inside is a bank statement. I look at the balance, and my heart stops. $95,000. Every birthday, every Christmas. Every time I saw you working yourself to exhaustion while your parents took from you. I put money in a trust. It's yours. It always has been. I cannot speak. Tears blur my vision. I don't want it to replace what they stole. Nana Ruth says. I want it to build what they couldn't take. Your future. Your dreams. Whatever you want. I don't know what to say. Say you'll use it well. Say you'll invest it in yourself. And say you'll forgive an old woman for not acting sooner. I hug her, this fierce, loving woman who protected me in the only way she knew how. Thank you. With Nana Ruth's gift, I make decisions I had been putting off. I invest some of it. I donate some to organizations that help victims of financial abuse. I use some to expand my legal practice, hiring an associate who specializes in family law. My practice grows. I take on more cases, help more people. I am invited to speak at conferences, to guest lecture at law schools, to consult on legislation around family financial exploitation. A publisher reaches out, interested in a book, The Daughter Who Said No as a working title. I spend 6 months writing it, pouring everything into the pages. The good, the bad, the guilt, the triumph. I write about boundaries and self-respect, and the difference between love and obligation. The book publishes the following spring. It becomes a surprise bestseller. I do interviews, podcasts, book signings. People line up to tell me their stories, to thank me, to say I gave them permission to protect themselves. All proceeds go to a foundation I establish, the Boundaries Project. It provides legal resources, counseling, and financial education to victims of family exploitation. Within the first year, we helped 237 people. Crystal comes to my book launch party. She brings Tyler, who turns out to be exactly as kind as she described. She also brings something else. A framed photo of the two of us as children, before everything got complicated, before the resentment and exploitation. When we were just sisters. I found this at Mom and Dad's house, she says. I thought you might want it. I look at the photo. 2 little girls in matching dresses, gap-toothed smiles, arms around each other. I do. I say. Thank you. My parents come to the party too. My mother looks older, tired, but there is something different in her expression. Humility, maybe. Or regret. My father walks slowly, still recovering from the heart attack, but he meets my eyes. We're proud of you, my mother says quietly. We should have said that years ago. It is not absolution, but it is acknowledgement. And for now, that is enough. In December, I receive a letter from Patricia. Not a text, not an email, but an actual handwritten letter. I read it alone in my penthouse, curled up on my couch with tea. Dear Guinea. It begins. I've been in therapy for 8 months now. My therapist keeps asking me why I did what I did, why I enabled your father, why I demanded so much from you, while expecting so little from Crystal. I'm starting to understand. I was raised to believe women needed to be taken care of by men. When your father struggled financially early in our marriage, I panicked. I didn't have skills, didn't have confidence in my own ability to contribute. So, instead of learning, instead of growing, I enabled his worst instincts. We took from you because we couldn't bear to look at our own failures. We taught Crystal helplessness because we were helpless ourselves. We resented you because you figured out what we couldn't. How to stand on your own. Every time you succeeded, it was a mirror showing us what we lacked. So we tried to take from you, to diminish you, to make ourselves feel bigger. I'm ashamed. But I'm also grateful. You stopped us before we destroyed more than we already have. You set boundaries that probably saved Crystal's life, even if she didn't see it that way at the time. And you showed me, at 62 years old, that it's never too late to learn how to be a better person. I'm taking classes, community college, business administration, I'm learning bookkeeping, basic accounting. I got a part-time job at a nonprofit. I'm earning my own money for the first time since I was 23. It's terrifying and exhausting, and I'm proud of myself. I understand if you can never forgive us. But I want you to know. We're trying. We're finally trying to be the parents you deserved. Thank you for loving us enough to stop enabling us. Patricia. I fold the letter and cry. Not from sadness, but from relief. From the sense that maybe, finally, my family is beginning to heal. Thanksgiving arrives. I have been dreading it and anticipating it in equal measure. After much deliberation, after consulting with my therapist, after long conversations with Crystal and Nana Ruth, I decide to host Thanksgiving dinner in my penthouse. I invite Nana Ruth, who accepts immediately. I invite Crystal and Tyler, who are delighted. I invite Helena and Kate, who have become unexpected friends. And after staring at my phone for 20 minutes, I invite my parents. My mother responds within minutes. We would be honored. Thank you. The day of Thanksgiving, I wake early. I prepare the turkey, the stuffing, the cranberry sauce. Crystal arrives at noon to help, bringing homemade rolls she baked herself. Tyler brings wine and a shy smile. Nana Ruth arrives with her famous pecan pie. Helena and Kate bring flowers and sparkling cider. My parents arrive last. They stand in the doorway of my penthouse, looking around at the space they once demanded I give away. My father's eyes are shiny. You've built something beautiful, he says. It is not an apology, but it is acknowledgement. And it feels like a beginning. We gather around my dining table. The food is plentiful. The conversation careful but warming. Tyler tells a funny story about his students. Kate talks about a case she just won. Helena shares photos from her recent trip to Greece. Crystal announces she has been accepted into a bachelor's degree program in business management at the State University. As dessert is served, I stand up. My wine glass feels heavy in my hand. Everyone quiets. I want to say something. I begin. A year ago, I stood in a country club and was slapped for refusing to give away something I earned. It was the most humiliating moment of my life, but it was also the moment I stopped waiting for permission to protect myself. I look at my father. You taught me a hard lesson. That love without respect is just control. That family isn't a license to exploit. I look at my mother. You taught me that enabling someone doesn't help them. It hurts everyone. I look at Crystal. You taught me that it's never too late to choose differently. Watching you grow has been one of the greatest joys of this year. I look at Nana Ruth. You taught me that real love protects, even from a distance. I look at Helena and Kate. You taught me that justice and compassion can coexist. I raise my glass. To second chances. To boundaries. To the long, messy road of healing, and to building lives so authentic that no one can take them from us. We drink, and in the silence that follows, my father stands. His hands shake slightly. He clears his throat. I need to say something too. Guinea, I failed you. I let my ego and my fear turn me into someone I'm ashamed of. I stole from you. I hit you. I tried to take what you built, because I couldn't build it myself. His voice cracks. You were always the strongest person in this family, and instead of celebrating that, I resented it. I'm in therapy now. I'm working on the man I should have been 30 years ago. I know I can't undo what I did, but I'm trying to become someone worthy of a second chance, even if you never give me one. My mother adds, her voice soft. We don't deserve your forgiveness, but we're grateful for your boundaries. They saved us from ourselves. The room is silent. Then Crystal speaks. To my sister, who loved me enough to stop enabling me, who showed me that rock bottom is actually a foundation you can build on. She pulls out her phone and shows everyone a photo. Keys in her palm. A small apartment behind her. I signed a lease on a 2-bedroom apartment yesterday. I'm moving in next month. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine. Every dollar of rent will be money I earned. Everyone applauds. Tyler kisses Crystal's cheek. She glows. Later, as people are leaving, my father pulls me aside. I'm making the last payment next month. $88,000. Paid in full. I wanted you to know. Thank you. No. Thank you. For not giving up on us, even when we gave you every reason to. After everyone leaves, I stand at my windows, looking out at the city. My phone buzzes. A text from my therapist. How did it go? I text back. Better than I expected. I think I finally understand. Healing isn't about the people who hurt you changing. It's about you changing your relationship to the pain. Her response. That's wisdom. How do you feel? I think about it. I think about the journey, the slap, the lawsuit, the heart attack, the slow rebuilding. I think about boundaries and consequences and the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. I think about Crystal's apartment keys and my father's apology and my mother's letter. I type, at peace. And I mean it. I learned something over this long, painful year. I learned that setting boundaries is not cruelty. It is self-respect. That holding people accountable is not revenge. It is dignity. That family is not defined by blood or obligation, but by mutual respect and genuine love. The penthouse was never really about the penthouse. It was about owning my life, about refusing to shrink so others could feel bigger, about understanding that protecting yourself does not make you selfish. It makes you whole. My father's slap woke me up, but my decision to press that button on my phone, to call Helena, to finally say enough, that saved me. If you are in a situation where the people who should protect you are hurting you instead, please know this. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. You deserve safety, respect, and peace. And sometimes, getting those things means walking away from people you love until they learn to love you properly. Justice is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet paperwork and court dates. Sometimes it is repayment plans and therapy sessions. But it is always worth fighting for. A year ago, I lost my family as I knew it. But I gained something more valuable. Myself. And in the slow, messy process of rebuilding, I discovered that the family worth keeping is the one that respects your boundaries, celebrates your strength, and loves you not despite your success, but because of it. I stand in my penthouse, the home I fought for, the life I built, the peace I earned. I look around at the warm colors, the art on the walls, the photos of people who truly love me, and for the first time in 12 years, I feel completely, utterly, at home. Not because the space is beautiful, though it is, but because it is mine, truly. finally mine. And no one can take that from me ever again. 3 months later, I receive a text from Crystal. It is a photo of her standing in front of her university, holding her class schedule. The caption reads, "First day of junior year. Business management major. 3.7 GPA. I'm doing it, sis. I'm really doing it." I save the photo. I frame it. I put it on my desk, next to the photo of us as children, two sisters, finding their way back to each other through honesty and growth. My practice continues to grow. I hire 2 more associates. We help hundreds of people escape family financial exploitation. We win cases. We change lives. Every client who walks into my office sees a sign on my wall, a quote I had made after the book published. Boundaries are not walls. They are bridges to healthier relationships. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is refuse to participate in someone else's dysfunction. I speak at conferences. I write articles. I consult on legislation, and every single time, I think about that moment at the country club, my father's hand connecting with my face, my earring flying across the marble floor. That moment broke something in me, but it also freed me. My parents make their final payment on a cold day in February. They come to my office to deliver the check in person. $88,000. Paid over 2 years instead of 5, because they worked extra jobs, sold possessions, prioritized the debt. It's done, my father says, handing me the check. We're square. I look at the check, then at him. We're not square. Money doesn't erase what happened. But this is accountability. And that's a start. My mother asks, tentatively, "Can we take you to dinner? To celebrate?" I think about it. Yes. But I choose the restaurant, and we split the bill. They agree. We go to dinner. It is awkward at first, then easier. We talk about safe subjects. The weather, my mother's job, my father's health. We do not pretend the past did not happen. But we do not let it dominate the present either. At the end of the meal, my father says, "I'm grateful that you gave us a chance to make this right. I gave you a chance to take accountability." I correct gently. Making it right is a longer process. But we're on the path. He nods. He understands. That night, I go home to my penthouse. I pour myself a glass of wine. I stand at my windows, the city lights glittering below, and I think about everything I have survived. Financial exploitation, family betrayal, public humiliation, the fear of being the villain, the guilt of protecting myself, the long, slow work of rebuilding trust. I think about Helena, who gave me the tools to fight back. Kate, who validated my right to justice. Nana Ruth, who protected me quietly for years. Crystal, who grew into someone I am proud to call my sister. And I think about myself. The woman who finally learned that self-protection is not selfishness. That love does not require surrender. That family should lift you up, not tear you down. I am 33 years old. I have a career I love, a home I earned, relationships built on respect. I have boundaries, self-knowledge, and peace. I have scars, but they are badges of survival, not marks of shame. And I have learned the most important lesson of all. You teach people how to treat you, and sometimes, teaching them requires consequences they do not want, and boundaries they do not like. But in the end, everyone is healthier for it. I raise my glass to the city, to myself, to the future. Harry's, to the daughter who said no. May she never be silenced again. So I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to set a boundary that felt impossible? Have you ever been made to feel guilty for protecting yourself? How did you handle it? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, if it gave you permission to protect yourself, or if you just want to support this kind of honest storytelling, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss a story about resilience, boundaries, and the courage to choose yourself. And share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who is struggling to set boundaries with family. Someone who needs to know they are not alone. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. I hope it reminded you that you are worthy of respect, that your boundaries matter, and that protecting yourself is never something to apologize for. Until next time, stand firm, protect your peace, and never let anyone make you small.